Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
Twins are in beautiful Toronto, north of the border, to start a three-game series with the AL East best, the Toronto Blue Jays. Tonight at the Rogers Center, they're expecting over 40,000 fans for all three games this weekend. Welcome inside the Rogers Center. It's a hot, steamy afternoon here in Toronto. The roof is open. The ball should be flying out. A big challenge for the Minnesota Twins tonight. Let's take a look at the series setup. Speaking of some power and pushing the ball out of the ballpark, Brian Dozier has been mashing of late. Hits in 30 of his last 32 contests. The power numbers are there. On pace right now overall for close to 40 home runs and close to 100 RBIs for the entire season. Boy, the starters need a shot in the arm from Pat Dean tonight. They have been struggling in their last six. ERA close to 10, and the opponent's batting average at 309. So big challenge for the Twins on that starting side of things. And boy, the home run challenge also going to be there, because the Minnesota Twins gave up the second most home runs in baseball at 172, where Toronto comes in with the second most at 180. With the struggles, the Twins have made a couple of roster moves back to Rochester for young Jose Barrios. And of course, along with him goes Tyler Duffy. Up now comes left-hander and Canadian native Andrew Albers. And for his first time, Alex Wimmer's a former first-round pick, 27 years old. A long road up for him to get to the bigs. Pat Dean gets the ball tonight, and boy, guys, a big challenge. As Jack Morris and Dick Bramer know, when you come to Toronto, you got to keep the ball in the stadium. That'll be the challenge for Mr. Dean tonight.
Absolutely, and so far from the Toronto Blue Jays, we've seen what we saw last year. They got into the postseason with a strong finish in August and September, and again this year it appears they've recovered after a slow start.
They have. I talked to John Gibbons today about that very same thing. He said, you know, we started out good and we're swinging a little bit better. And I said, Gibby, you've got a lot of veterans who know what it means to play meaningful games in September. I said, I feel like you're in good shape. He said, yeah. And he says, plus our starting pitching has gotten a lot better. But early in the year, they weren't all that great. Then they got hot. And since in the last few months, they've really played well, currently tied for first in a lot of categories. Their offense has picked up almost a run a game since early in the year. And they've got veteran players in Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion, Tulowitzki, guys that know how to play the game.
And Pat Dean will be given the ball tonight and the assignment to try to control this Toronto lineup. Pat Dean did that back in May when the Jays were struggling a little bit.
Well, he had one of his better outings against the Jays, and I think that'll be a confidence builder for him as he takes the mound tonight. We're just looking for a starter to be competitive tonight. We need him to go deep in the game if he can. That bullpen's been taxed a lot lately.
Last year, the Jays swept the Twins here in a 4-game series. Tonight, the opener of a 3-game series against a familiar name and face. Francisco Liriano will make his 4th start for the Jays. Sports North is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Dodge. Find your summer of performance with great deals at the Dodge Summer Clearance event. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us.
As a visitor, I love coming to Toronto. You lived here for a while. What'd you think?
I think it's one of the greatest towns in North America. I truly enjoy coming back here all the time, especially when the weather is like this today. How can you not like it?
Beautiful summer weather, and Francisco Liriano, recently acquired by the Jays. Not quite as notable as of acquisition as David Price was last year, but they've got a left-hander who is notable, has had a lot of success primarily in the Twins organization and then again later on with the Pirates. And he was an all-star in 2006, and of course that's the year in the minds of many that got away from the Twins. Johan Santana won the Cy Young Award that year, and for most of the year he was the second best left-hander on the Twins staff. Liriano was that good in 2006 before the elbow issue. Kind of rediscovered himself a little bit in Pittsburgh, but now is back in the American League. He hopes pitching for another pennant contender.
Well, he's been the ace of staffs in the past. The Twins know him very well and how well he pitched for a short period of time with the Twins. Pittsburgh, he started 3 opening games for them, consecutive opening games, so that says a lot about what he meant to that staff.
Tonight's Toyota Key stat, and the Twins, despite the struggles on the last road trip, losing all 4 games in Kansas City, still have a really good road record since July 1st. They have lost 7 in a row against teams trying to get into the playoff picture. Now on this road trip, they'll take on teams that are right now in the playoff picture. And they'll get this series started with this Menards batting order. Brian Dozier leading things off, then Robbie Grossman, Trevor Plouffe, Miguel Sano is the designated hitter. No Joe Mauer again tonight. Max Kepler, Polanco, Escobar, Suzuki, and Rosario. And Dozier in the box ready to face Francisco Liriano. And a fastball, strike 1.
Well, the Twins should be fairly familiar, at least the coaching staff, all the scouting reports, all that should be quite up to date with Liriano. They know what he is. His strength is his slider. He's always had a pretty good changeup, which is that last pitch right there. And these are his numbers combined with Pittsburgh and here in Toronto, where he's only pitched in a couple games. He did have 1 loss, so he's 6-12 for the year. This 25th start. He leads all of baseball in walks, so that's his nemesis. He's got to get the ball over the plate. He's got 75 walks on the season. That's the most in baseball.
1-2 to Brian Dozier. And tap foul. It was interesting because, as you said, he was the opening day starter for the Pirates for 3 years, and a lot of people thought that when they dealt Liriano, they were waving a white flag, but that's not the case. The Pirates are very much in the middle of the National League wild card race, and so they traded one of their better pitchers to the Blue Jays. The ball hit off the end of the bat. Coming in is Upton, and it's the shortstop, or second baseman Barney rather, who makes an over-the-shoulder catch, 1 away. Northland Ford defense for the Jays. Ezekiel Carrera is in left field. Melvin Upton Jr., he used to be known as BJ, he's in center. Jose Bautista recently activated, he's in right. Donaldson, Tulowitzki, Barney smoke the infielders, and Russell Martin behind the plate. 1 down. Here's Robbie Grossman. Liriano is the 3rd straight left-handed starting pitcher the Twins have faced, and that's good news for Grossman, who has been really punishing left-handed pitching this year. Taking strike 1 from Liriano. And now swing and a miss.
Yeah, it's amazing for a switch hitter. He feels like he's a natural right-handed hitter. That's where he started playing the game. He kind of converted himself into a switch hitter by jumping over to the left side.
Foul tip.
Certainly better numbers, and like you mentioned, Dick, he's faced a few lefties and done well lately.
Against lefties, he has an on-base percentage of .430. Mike Trout has an on-base percentage of .432 to lead the league. Big spread between his success from the 2 sides of the plate, and he takes up high. Manny Gonzalez has plate duty tonight. Chad Fairchild at first, James Hoy and Marvin Hudson on the bases. 1-2 to Robbie Grossman. And he got a piece.
I think it's going to help Liriano to have a veteran catcher like Russell Martin catching him too. He knows how to call games. He's been around himself, and first time working with Liriano, obviously, but they're going to fall into place pretty easily, I think, because Liriano's got a good variety of pitches, and Martin knows how to use those pitches. I think it's always been a challenge for catchers when Liriano's on the mound to harness strikes, to get him to hit the glove. He does a lot of mechanically things wrong, especially landing on his heel and spinning off the ball. But, you know, he's become a pitcher that kind of learned how to live with the problems that he has. And when he's on, he's always been a tough pitcher, especially when he gets ahead in counts and can go to that breaking ball.
2-2 to Grossman.
Take a look at Francisco Liriano's delivery. He picks up the target, comes to the stretch position. He picks up the target late, but the way he falls on his heel and just recoils over towards third baseman Josh Donaldson, that is something that every pitching coach he's ever worked with wants him to change, to try to get that energy more towards the catcher's glove. Like Bert always says, have your chest go towards the glove, because that'll help your arm. But gets a strikeout right there, Grossman. And let's watch that last pitch. Change up away, Grossman out in front. But he picks up the target kind of late, and you can see how much he recoils and spins over towards third base.
2 down, and now Trevor Plouffe. Plouffe hitting third, Sano fourth.
One thing about Francisco is his strikeouts have always been up there, and again this year he's got more strikeouts than innings pitched.
Plouffe takes up and away ball 1. Russell Martin caught Liriano 2 years in Pittsburgh, 2013, 2014. And therein lies some of the hope for the Blue Jays, that being reunited with Martin would maybe unlock something that's been missing in Liriano this year. 2-0.
At some point I have to tell you my pitching coach story about Francisco.
Okay. Foul back.
I hate to get into stories with 2 outs, so we might have to save it for next inning.
3 for 5, couple of home runs against Liriano. Twins faced him twice last year when he was pitching for the Pirates, and then a couple of times before when he was with the White Sox. Blast to left center field, deep to the gap, and gone. Another home run for Trevor Plouffe against Francisco Liriano.
Well, I think that speaks a little bit to Rogers Center here and the way the ball is going to carry tonight. That was a well hit ball, a line drive, but that's going to be a double in a lot of ballparks. And it just kept carrying and carrying. It was 3-4 feet over that wall in left center. A line drive, home run. See the pitch, not a good one. A fastball out over the plate. And Trevor's been doing a pretty good job at the plate lately with his bat.
Through the 7-game losing streak, the Twins have hardly had a lead. Now they've got the first lead tonight. Here's Miguel Sano taking down an in ball 1. Sano, the designated hitter. The hope is that he'll be playing some third base this weekend sometime against the Blue Jays. Topper back to the mound, past the mound to the second baseman. Barney makes the play, and the Twins are done in the first inning. But they've got a lead, 1-0. has the Twins in front 1-0. We go to the bottom of the first inning. And tough road trip for the Twins. They are bringing a 7-game losing streak into a 3-game series against a team tied for first in the American League East. Then to Cleveland for 3 games against the first place Cleveland Indian ball club. Here's how the Blue Jays will line up in the opener. Brought to you by Menards. Jose Bautista in the leadoff spot. Then Josh Donaldson, Edwin Encarnacion, Russell Martin, Tulowitzki, Upton, Barney, Smoke, and Carrera. Bautista in the box, facing Pat Dean. And a first pitch strike over the inside corner. Mentioned in the pregame show, there weren't many pitching highlights for the Twins in the month of May. The team pitched to an ERA of nearly 6. But in the middle of the month, Pat Dean gave the Twins a wonderful outing. 6 innings, just 2 earned runs allowed, the 2 runs scoring on a Bautista home run. 2-1.
Now you just saw the numbers for Pat Dean there. He's making his 7th career major league start and 12th appearance for the Twins. He made 10 starts down in AAA Rochester, went 4-4. Getting a chance here tonight.
And now missing 3-1.
Well, he moved his feet. And even though there's a lot of boos here in Rogers Center, I think that's a great pitch, especially early in the game, to give a guy the mindset to know that you're not afraid to make him feel a little uncomfortable in there.
Foul. Over for a look is Escobar. It's out of play, 3-2. Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Bobby Grossman in left. Eddie Rosario back in center. Danny Santana was there last night or yesterday. Max Kepler in right. Escobar, Polanco, Dozier, Fluke, the infielders, and Kurt Suzuki behind the plate. Full count to the leadoff man, Jose Bautista. And he missed a leadoff walk.
You know, Joe Mauer in the lineup again tonight. Still kind of suffering from those sore quads and tough left-hander and Lariano. So Paul Mauer giving Joe the night off again.
Walk's not an issue for Dean. So far this year, 15 of them in 46 innings. But a leadoff walk, and that's one of the things you have to minimize against this lineup because top to bottom, they've got an awful lot of pop.
They do, but the top of this lineup especially, the first 3 hitters, it's kind of unique in baseball that John Gibbons will send up the kind of power that all 3 of these first 3 hitters possess. And you make a mistake to one of them, put them on base, and you got 2 more guys that are going to probably clean house. So he's got to be careful here with Donaldson. You see the numbers, 29 round trippers for Josh this year.
1-0.
I don't know if you heard about the little scuffle he had with his manager a few games ago. There were some words, and I know they made a big deal about it here in Toronto, the press that loves to stir it up. But I know Josh enough to know what was going on with him. He was struggling on the plate that day. He came in frustrated, broke a bat right in front of his manager. And his manager, being the kind of guy that's very competitive, John Gibbons, didn't really appreciate that he did it right in front of him. And he's kind of indicated, hey, take that down there in the tunnel. And they had a little words back and forth. They said the same thing to each other, something like, I really love you. Maybe it wasn't quite interpreted that way. And that was it. The next day, it was all, they're both pros. And I think they both were showing frustration in the losing game.
Dean misses inside. He's trying to work Donaldson over inside, 2-2.
The press got a hold of it, and of course Donaldson was joking with them, saying that he liked the smell of my cologne, wanted to come closer and get a better whiff of it. Had nothing to do with cologne.
Popped up down the left field line. Grossman coming in. And a dangerous bat. Donaldson is retired, 1 down. That'll bring up Encarnacion. The cold hard facts tonight brought to you by the Silver Bullet, the clean, crisp Coors Light. The Toronto Blue Jays since 2010. And it's closer than I thought it was, but they are leading Major League Baseball in home runs hit. The Orioles are right there.
Well, you look at the 2 reasons. There's one of them right there, Jose Bautista, and the guy at the plate have been here during that whole time. And they're really responsible for the majority of those home runs.
And then the question, of course, beyond this year is, will they be here next year? Both Bautista and Encarnacion free agents. Tapper to third. How many? One is all they'll get, with Escobar's throw almost pulling Dozier off the bag. Sure, they would have gotten two anyway. Encarnacion reaches on a fielder's choice. One of the big plays in the game yesterday, Brian Dozier made a great catch, but then an errant throw. And so it's very true in a situation like this. Make sure you get one out.
Yeah, and you always want an accurate throw to the second baseman. That one was up. You can see Dozier had to go up and in for that ball. No chance to really turn and throw. Encarnacion doesn't run all that great, but he was running hard enough that Dozier did the right thing by holding the ball.
Russell Martin takes outside a ball. So a nice little play by Dozier to get the force at second.
They got the shift on Russell. Dozier on the left side of the infield.
Just inside 2-0.
Polanco deep in the hole. And Escobar playing way back now with 2 outs.
And that one clips the corner, 2-1. Dean appears to be pretty quick to home. Blue Jays don't do a whole lot of running. High pop up near the mound. Dean gets out of the way. Plouffe calls for it, makes the catch. Leadoff walk, no harm done. Max Kepler will lead off the second for the Twins, with Minnesota up 1-0.
Twins lead 1-0 on a Trevor Plouffe home run. No Joe Mauer, as Jack Morris talked about in the first inning tonight in the lineup. Third straight game he has missed. As we take a look at our Sanford Health injury report, he's got sore quads that stems from a play back in the middle of August down in Atlanta. Joe was at first base, tried to score on a double. He did score, but the quads have been very sore. Paul Molitor said he's progressing, but between the left-hander Liriano, the artificial turf, he wanted to give him one more day to see where he's at. They hope to get him in, guys, this weekend.
So we'll see how Joe is handled the rest of the way. Max Kepler will lead off the second. He'll be followed by Polanco and Escobar. Kepler drove in a couple of runs with a double late last night, came close to hitting another home run. He's got 15 on the year, hasn't homered since his phenomenal series in Cleveland. Tap to the right side. Seen a lot of those off the bat of Kepler. Two hopper for the first out of the second inning.
So
bring up Polanco.
I'll tell you my Francisco Liriano story. He was struggling towards his latter days as a member of the Twins, And I kept watching him throw in the bullpen, and he was absolutely lights out in the bullpen. So I walked down there one day, and I just watched him throw, and finally when he came past me, I had to say a few words to him. And he looked at me, and I said, I want you to know right now, with that stuff that you just threw right there in my brain, we could win 20 games every year. And he looked at me and smiled, and I said, you have great stuff. Believe in it, you know. And I was just trying to pump him up and get him fired up. He went out there the next start and stunk again. And sooner after that, he was a member of a different team. And, you know, I thought, boy, you really are a great pitching coach, Jack. You really can inspire guys. And, of course, not too long after that, he started on a roll. And then when he went to Pittsburgh, I thought he pitched phenomenally well for quite a while again. And I was proud of him. I mean, when you get to know a guy personally, you know this, Dick, former Twins that go somewhere else and do well, you know, you can't help but pull for them, even though you wish they would have done that for your team.
1-2. Popped up and back on a play. For most of his, well, not toward the end of his career, he really was with the Twins. And innately, the stuff was there, but it was not being brought out into the games on the game mound. And every once in a while, you'd see a game like his no-hitter, but he walked 6 men in that game and came into that game with an ERA of over 9, and then threw the no-hitter against the White Sox. Polanco swings and misses, and Martin flips the first, 2 down.
Well, I think what I remember most about Liriano as a pitcher for the Twins is when he was with Johan Santana, and what did he rattle off 9 straight wins? I mean, he was unhittable when the league first saw him.
And Santana ended up winning the Cy Young Award in 2006. But while they were in the rotation together, no exaggeration, Liriano was the better of the two.
He was ridiculous.
And so here you were as the Twins went through the 2006 season, a team that was going to be in the postseason, and they would have been the envy of every other team in the postseason to have not one but 2 power left-handed starting pitchers. And then of course Liriano went down with the elbow injury. 1-1 to Eduardo Escobar. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Twins have had a terrible time against the Jays in the last 10 years. Only once have they won a season series with Toronto. And since the start of the 2007 season, the Twins are 21-48 against Toronto. Tapper and Liriano has an easy play. And a 1-2-3 second inning. certainly one of the more beautiful cities in North America. Twins got in last night. Had 3 games here, a day game tomorrow, then a day game Sunday, and then a little, well, we hope not a hop, skip, and a jump, but a short flight to Cleveland. If you're in a plane,
no skips.
Yeah, we
It's
don't
a
want
hop.
exactly.
Hop right over the
just
lake.
a hop. We don't want any skips on the way to Cleveland. Troy Tulowitzki will lead off the second. Liner out of the reach for Polanco. And the first pitch single for Tulowitzki.
Get me over breaking ball to start him off in that spot, and Tulo is ready for it, goes down and gets a single.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV. Now first pitch fastball and a strike to Melvin Upton Jr. Last series at home, Twins had to deal with Justin Upton, and he had a good series against the Twins. Now his brother Melvin, used to be known as BJ.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot of success lately with BJ, so he went back to his given name, Melvin. And it's kind of a intriguing question I was going to ask you, but in his case, it's actually his given name, so it's not like he went out and changed his name. I was going to ask you, if you changed your name, what would it be? But he didn't really change it.
A flare in the left on an 0-2 pitch, and the Jays start the second inning with a couple of singles to left field.
We talk about damage control all the time, and already only the bottom of the second inning, but we're going to see what Pat Dean can do here with 2 runners on, nobody out. Darwin Barney, the second baseman, will be the #7 hitter.
Devin Travis is dealing with a hand injury, a mysterious one at that. The ring finger of his throwing hand. Barney getting a chance to play some more at second base. First and second, nobody out. Barney takes low, ball 1. And then Justin Smoke. Foul back. Well, had you asked and you wondered about me changing my name, you have to understand, when you are given the name of Richard, you got a lot of options.
Okay.
The one I'm using, and then Rich and Rick and any derivation after that. So I could change my name
and be close to the original.
And many times over. Corner infielders up, but the Blue Jays aren't bunting here, and it's now 2-1. Plouffe is in front of the runner at first, and Escobar maybe a step or so in front of the bag at third. But no indication here that Barney is going to drop down a bunt. And now with a 2-1 count, Plouffe backs up. And a strike call. 2-2.
Blue Jays had a guy named Ryan Goins playing second base for a couple years here, and he was going to be the second baseman of the future, but he just hasn't hit the ball much. And now Barney getting a chance to play a little bit.
Dean tiptoeing around the fire here. Now it's a full count with nobody out, and Smoke on deck.
Well, he needs an out here, and more than anything else, he needs a ground ball.
Popped him up, pulled the string, and Escobar in foul ground makes the play. A 3-2 changeup, got a weak pop fly, 1 away.
Now it's a fastball count, and Kurt Suzuki showing his pitcher confidence. He throws that changeup down there. Pat Dean did not shake him, and it takes some courage sometimes early in the ball game to command your secondary pitches, but that's a great pitch to throw in that count because it's a fastball count. hitters thinking you're behind, they're ahead in the count 3-2. He's got to throw a strike here. You're thinking fastball, and he pulls a string.
Here is switch hitting Justin Smoke. Down and in, ball one. Blue Jays very right-handed to begin with, and of course with Dean on the mound, they're pretty well set up here with one right-handed hitter after another. Now in this case a switch hitter. Dean falls behind again, 1-0. And just missed with the fastball, 2-0.
We've been watching Pat Dean throw right-handed hitters fastballs in, and I love to see that. He's not afraid. I talked to Kurt Suzuki before the game about his pitch selection. He says he loves to throw the fastball into right-handers, and I think it's a great pitch. I reminded him to try to miss off the plate, not over the plate.
Well, 3-0.
But he needs to throw a strike here, doesn't he?
Go behind the mound, think about it for a little bit. Dangerous pitch to a guy who's got a pretty good pop. Smoke with 13 home runs, only 2 of them from this side of the plate.
He gets so many more at bats as a left-handed hitter than a right-handed hitter.
And a strike. Dean was pretty good at Target Field against his Jays lineup. He made one mistake, if you can call it that. He gave up a 2-run home run to Bautista, and that was it over 6 innings. 3-1. High fly left center field. That looks like a mistake. 3-1 Toronto. Smoke now with 14 home runs and 3 from the right side of the plate.
Get to see exactly where Kurt Suzuki's setting up, and that ball pretty much split the plate just a little bit in, but right in that sweet swinging zone of that big, strong right-handed hitter. The one thing about pitching in this ballpark, you can't give up when you're trailing by a run or two. This is an explosive place. You can score runs in a hurry because the balls will fly here in Rogers Center.
1 strike. And when this first started becoming a home run hitter's haven about 7-8 years ago, the hitters that the Blue Jays brought in here had a part of it, but the theory was with all the development around here, somehow, and we're talking, you know, convention center, apartment buildings, condos, everything that's built up around here, that somehow within this ballpark, when the roof is open, it's become even more of a hitter's ballpark.
Well, even going back to the dinosaur days when I played here, the ball carried better when the roof was closed, I thought, because when it was open, the windows used to be across the restaurant, which is out in center field, at the second deck in center field. And when they removed all those windows, all that glass, with the roof open, I think it changed the direction of wind currents in this building. Now, there is something to be said. I've heard this argument too about all these buildings have changed the way the wind comes off the lake. There's less of it, more still air. And tonight, not a lot of wind. I don't feel a whole lot of breeze. It's more of a calm, humid night here, turning into a beautiful evening. But yeah, the balls do fly out of here. This is definitely a hitter's ballpark, and they've got great hitters. The Twins got guys that can hit home runs too.
Bouncer to second. Nice hop on. Plouffe has to reach across his body to catch the throw. 2 down. And that'll bring up Jose Bautista.
Well, you could write a book about this guy's history against the Twins, but he has been a one-man demolition crew. He's seen his last 44 games, 23 home runs, 40 RBI, a .339 batting average.
Came off the disabled list the other day for this series.
Yeah, a lot of those hits were at Target Field. Back when Target Field was considered, you don't hit the ball out, you know. The concrete was still wet, and you could not. He would hit him out to right center.
1-0 to Bautista. He walked his first time up. And he might have busted his bat, but he gets a base hit to center. It's the 4th hit of the inning for Toronto. And that'll bring up Donaldson.
He goes away, and the ball's down and away. Now, that's a pitcher's pitch, but that's where you've got to tip your hat to the hitter. Jose Bautista can cover the outside part of the plate. He is a guy that looks in all the time, does not want to get beat inside, and he will open up quickly. He opened up quickly there, but he still kept his hands back. The end of the bat had enough bat speed, and you're absolutely right. That cracked his bat on a pitcher's pitch down and away, but he has enough strength and bat speed to still hit that ball into center field.
1-0 to Donaldson. Drilled foul. So here's Dean. He worked his way through the first inning. No harm done with Bautista, Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Martin. And then you end up getting burned in the second inning by the 8th place hitter who hits a 3-run home run. Now you have to face Donaldson again. And it's a relentless, and I would think from a pitcher standpoint, almost exhausting lineup to have to pitch to, because there are no easy breaks in the lineup.
Second, third, fourth time around, tougher and tougher to get out their best hitters. There's no question about that. And that's one of the reasons pitch counts become part of this game. Managers, pitching coaches, minor league directors, they don't want to see a guy face a good hitter for the 4th or 5th time anymore. And right around the 3rd at bat is where they're getting close to 100 pitches, and that just sort of happens to fall together. But that's part of the reasoning behind the pitch count.
I remember a few years ago, kind of the similar thought, only from a hitter's perspective. I asked Tony Oliva who were the pitchers he hated to face, and I forget who he rattled off a couple of names. I said, well, what about Palmer and Hunter? He goes, oh, I love to face those guys because I knew I was going to see him a 4th time, and by the 4th time, I had him. I was ready.
Yeah,
but you got to be a good hitter to do that.
Well, you got to be a good pitcher to be in there late in the game too. And that's one thing when I look back in my career I'm very proud of, but I also learned the hard way. And losing games late it absolutely crushed me. I mean, I worked and I threw those 110, 115 pitches, and then to get beat because you hang a ball to a guy that's a good hitter. Now the press gives the hitter the credit, which he deserves, but you could have been better. You don't have to do that. And what I found later in my career is that when I got to that 4th and 5th at bat, they were so anxious to hit off me, I didn't always have to throw strikes late in the game.
Oh. And now it's a full count to Donaldson.
Especially if I had a lead.
Dean's pitch count is running up there. 47 already. This is his 3rd full count. Trying to get the Twins off the field after the smoke home run.
Needs to make a pitch right here.
Runner goes. Pitch hit to right center and deep.
That's out of here.
Gone. And it's 5-1. Donaldson's 30th of the year.
Well, that's why there's so much energy in this ballpark. The Jays fans have been coming out and really supporting this team since the All-Star break. They've got the veteran hitters, and you can see the point of contact right out in front of the plate, right off his front foot. You can see that's a great camera angle. Look at the concentration on the left side there. His head down on the baseball, shooting the ball, going the other way, hands inside the ball, all the things that are classic swings. And then you got Rogers Center where the ball carries well.
Neil Allen with an extended chat here. Manny Gonzalez has to break up the discussion. Through the 7-game losing streak, there's been one well-pitched game. It was the finale at the Kauffman Stadium. And Danny Duffy outdueled Irvin Santana. Final score 2-1. But the rest of the games within the losing streak have been games like this where there's a crooked number up, a 5-inning second inning, and suddenly it's 5-1.
That's just it. It's that ugly, crooked number early in the game, the first 3 innings. And it's playing catch up over and over and over. And how many times can you ask your guys to keep grinding out and trying to get back into the game? It's hard mentally to do that, especially for young players late in the season.
2-1. This was the spot on the rotation previously held by Hector Santiago. The Twins are going to bring him back and start him Monday in Cleveland. Dean getting the start. Foul back, and then the possibility exists that the Twins will start 3 left-handed starters in Cleveland. But you look at the Blue Jay power attack, 77 home runs, a little less than 2 per game against the Twins. No wonder the season series have been so lopsided. And a called third strike, Encarnacion strikes out to end the game. But in the inning, a 3-run home run and a 2-run home run, and the Twins find themselves in familiar territory. A 3-run home run, a 2-run home run, and now in the third, Kurt Suzuki will lead off with the Blue Jays up 5-1. Suzuki, Rosario, and Dozier. And a fastball, strike 1.
The Jays came into this game losing the last couple games to the Los Angeles Angels. They were just here in town.
Yeah, they had their ace going last night, Jay Happ, who appears to be on his way to a 20-win season.
Yeah, he somehow has found a way to win. Here's a guy that for years just couldn't. There's Jay Happ. Couldn't figure out the winning part of baseball. He has great arm, great mechanics, can repeat his delivery over and over, but just had a tough time winning. And somehow it's all come together this year. He's got 17 wins. He was going for number 18 last night. You feel good about a guy that, you know, has gone through the tough times, and hopefully those are behind him now.
Bounced around from a number of different organizations. And
well, the Jays signed him to a long-term deal here and surprised a lot of people in Toronto. They gave him a pile of money.
Right.
And then they ended up trading him. I guess for those other teams, they thought it was a friendly contract, because if he could ever become the guy they thought he'd be.
Paul Molitor said one of the keys for the Twins, if they're to have a good night against Liriano, make him throw strikes. Suzuki draws a walk to start the third inning. Twins fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app, take Fox Sports North and Twins baseball with you wherever you go. Here is Rosario. taking strike one. Rosario's been in a strikeout rut. Been chasing a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. Didn't start in yesterday's ball game. Danny Santana made the start in center field.
Well, it's the last guy in the lineup that Liriano has yet to face. Number 9 hitter. And he's got a couple strikeouts, just the one walk, that being the leadoff guy here. So let's see if the Twins can capitalize on what usually is a mistake to walk the leadoff man.
Outside now 2-1.
Rosario's a hard guy to figure out. You know, there's times where you wouldn't even want to put him in against a guy like Liriano, a left-handed pitcher, because he can look that bad sometimes at the plate. And yet there's days where he'll get 3 hits and a couple of them being well hit off one of the nastiest guys there is. So Paul putting him back out in center field right now. We got to, I think you'd agree with me, he's our best defensive center fielder
on the roster right now. Yeah,
without Buxton out there.
2-2 to Rosario. Twins trying to string some things together here, get back in the game in the third. Foul back. I don't know that I've ever seen an umpire position himself where Manny Gonzalez does, at least with a left-handed batter up. He's got 1 foot to the side of the catcher.
Yeah. He's definitely on the inside part.
I mean, as that pitch was being delivered, his right foot was closer to the mound and home plate than the catcher's right foot. Totally exposed, of course, as so many of them are, to a foul tip.
Well, Liriano loves to throw sliders, especially to left-handers. In fact, 42% of his pitches to left-handed hitters are sliders, which is more than anybody in baseball. It's pretty crazy numbers. The average is about 18%.
Rosario's had at bats like this, and then it's like the other team says, all right, let's get rid of this guy. Let's throw a letter high fastball and see if he'll chase it. There's another breaking ball, and Rosario keeps the at bat alive. We've seen through this awful 7-game losing streak that Rosario in center field feeling a little bit more comfortable, getting better breaks. Made a good throw the other night. 2-2. And another foul ball. Came in with a fastball and he got a piece of it.
2-2 count here. Liriano's looking for the strikeout. He's going harder, harder, harder. Even with his breaking ball, he's going hard. And this will be the 10th pitch in this at bat. So Rosario hanging in there and showing him, you can't strike me out.
5 2-strike fouls.
They haven't gone up in the ladder, though. Let's see what happens when they go up.
And another foul. 6 2-strike fouls.
Sticking with that slider.
In an ideal world, of course, Buxton will perhaps in September this year show that he belongs in center field on the major league roster, and then Rosario would move back to left. A little dribbler, and Liriano can't handle it. So after all that hard work, Rosario hits a little nubber between the mound and first base, and Rosario reaches first and second, nobody out. And with that, let's go to Kevin Gord.
Yeah, guys, it was a bizarre start to the season for this man, Brian Dozier, but what a turnaround it's been. And Tom Bernansky put it this way: there had to be an adjustment made for Brian Dozier, and he had to learn this, that home runs are not hit, home runs are pitched. In every at bat, if you're patient and you wait, the pitch will come. Don't force it, don't overswing, make good contact, put the ball in play. And right now, guys, Dozier's seeing it. Batting average, which was down around 200, now up near 270, on pace for close to 40 home runs and close to 100 RBIs. And Tom Bernansky obviously working close by with these hitters, put it that way. And I thought that was pretty interesting. They are not hit, they are pitched. And Jack Morris, I guess you know a little bit something about that.
Thanks, Kev. Yeah, most of the home runs I gave up before it crossed home plate, you knew they were going to be home runs. It's crazy, but when you throw thousands and thousands of pitches and you make a mistake to a good hitter, you realize it's going to be a bad situation before it even crosses home plate.
1-0 now to Dozier. And now up 2-0. Well, in this inning, having been given a 4-run lead, Liriano walked.
Yep.
Suzuki on 5 pitches, couldn't put Rosario away, committed the error. Now a chance for the Twins to get back in the game.
Brian Dozier with one swing of the bat can give him that.
There's a drive to center. Upton going back, making the catch on the edge of the track. Suzuki will advance to third, 1 down. And that'll bring up Grossman.
Didn't quite hit it, but you're absolutely right, and that's why I said even when Pat Dean gave up that 3-run home run to Justin Smoke, you just can't give up at this ballpark.
Here's Robbie Grossman. Liriano struck him out in the first inning. Outside, ball 1. Grossman getting close now to, in fact, he's over 300 plate appearances. Twins picked him up about the time that they designated Oswaldo Arcia for assignment. And Arcia has been DFA'd 2 more times since then. The Marlins DFA'd him yesterday. Earlier was the Tampa Bay Rays, and then the Marlins got him, or picked him up until they picked up Jeff Francoeur and then designated Arcia for assignment yesterday. 2-0 to Robbie Grossman. 3-0 with Trevor Plouffe on deck. When Liriano had his success with the Pirates, a lot of people thought it might have been just the case of a American League pitcher who was struggling, who would have success pitching through a National League lineup. And as Twins fans know, as much of a factor as that might be, it doesn't work real well in reverse. If you are struggling in the National League and now you've got to pitch to a designated hitter, the results, see Mike Pelfrey, Kevin Correa, Ricky Nolasco, so on and so forth, sometimes the results aren't very good.
Well, Trevor Plouffe had a good result in the first inning with a home run. That put the Twins on top right there with that swing, 1-0. Since then, the Jays have scored 5 unanswered runs, and now the Twins, with a swing of the bat, could tie it up. Bases loaded.
Plouffe with the bases loaded and 1 out. Ball 1.
Let me ask you this. We've seen the Twins really struggle in the last week, and we have been around this game, you and I, for a long time. Liriano, to me, it's absolutely black and white. When he pitches well and has command, he wins and he has success. When he doesn't pitch well, he doesn't have command. It's that simple.
Well, take out Francisco Liriano's name and insert Jose Barrios, Tyler Duffy, Kyle Gibson, anybody else, and I don't care, how good you were. In Liriano's case, he was really, really good. If you can't throw a fastball over the plate as he's struggled to do here this inning, you're not going to fare too well.
And that's why it's called pitching, not throwing.
2-0. See what Plouffe does and what he gets on this 2-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. And Liriano did not give him the fastball.
I've had to explain to my son a couple times the difference between fishing and catching. and I said it's called fishing because you're trying to catch the fish, but it's not called catching. Well, we got a few fish, so now he wants to go catching.
Deep to right field, retreating is Bautista, and again near the edge of the track he makes the catch, and 1 run will score, and everybody moves up a base with Bautista kind of going back casually to make the catch, but that allowed the runner at first, Grossman, to go to second base. Everybody else would have advanced, but Grossman took advantage of how he saw Bautista playing the ball, and now a hit to the outfield might get the Twins within 1. You saw activity in the Toronto bullpen. Aaron Loop warming up. Sacrifice a fly for Plouffe. And now here comes Miguel Sano.
I think it's pretty well known that since Jose Bautista's come off the DL, his arm strength not what it used to be. He used to have a rocket for an arm out there, and there's a lot of people in baseball that won't run on him because of the reputation he used to have. Right now, he doesn't throw very well at all.
Right.
And I know Paul Molitor enough to know that he's already told the boys, hey, if it's hit out that way, take the base.
1 strike to Sano. Same pitch, same swing, same result.
Change up, down and away, just sinking off the plate.
Sano pushed the ball to the right side weakly in his first at bat, grounding out to Barney. 0-2 to Miguel Sano. Change up taken, 1-2.
This is a guy the Twins just would love to see. By Twins, I mean pretty much anybody associated with the organization. See him heat up again.
4 changeups, 3 swings and misses. The Twins get 1 but leave 2. Ball on Fox Sports North is presented by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. And by Bank of America. Life's better when we're connected. Russell Martin takes a pitch down and away, ball 1. Twins getting 1 back in the top of the 3rd. They need Pat Dean to hang up a few zeros here. Martin popped up to Plouffe near the mound in the first inning. And now inside 2-0.
Well, that's just it. He had an ugly number, big crooked number in the second inning. Blue Jays got a nice cushion, nice lead, but Lariano looks like he's not completely dialed in yet either. So if he can have a couple clean innings, you just never know.
And now 2-1. Dean pitched 5 clean innings against the Jays in Minnesota in May. Gave up the 2-run home run to Bautista. Breaking ball, swing and a miss. The game that Dean pitched against the Jays, the Twins were handcuffed by Jay Happ. But they managed to score 5 runs in the 8th inning. Eduardo Nunez with a big 3-run home run in that ball game. And it's the only Twins win against Toronto this year. They took 3 out of 4 at Target Field. Again, since 2006, the Twins have won just one season series, and they've gone 21-48 against Toronto.
Well, this is the Twins' first trip into Toronto here in Rogers Center, and there's a new look again on the field.
The dirt.
Yeah, the dirt.
Ball was short. Martin retired. Tulowitzki will hit. September 20th is Ryder Cup night at Target Field. A limited number of Ryder Cup theme night ticket packages are available that include a game ticket and Ryder Cup themed Twins cap. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/Ryder Cup or call 800-33-TWINS. Here's Tulowitzki. Singled and scored in the second inning. Went after the first pitch from Dean and drilled a single to left. Through it all, through the long drought that the Twins have had against the Blue Jays, the lopsided season series, one consistent factor over now 10+ years has been poor starting pitching. The last Twins starter to beat the Blue Jays was Phil Hughes more than 2 years ago. The Twins beat the Jays twice last year. Ryan Presley got the wins in the season series back then. Popped up right field. Kepler running towards the line and makes the catch. And when Dean had his good game and the Blue Jays were beaten by the Twins 5-3 on the 21st, Fernando Abad got the win for the Twins.
Well, 2 years without a starter getting a win against a team, that's kind of paints the picture pretty easy. I mean, the bullpen, they're going to get their share of wins, but you play at least 7 games against everybody.
Here's Melvin Upton Jr. And through the hole between Escobar and Polanco. Upton has his second hit. Comes with 2 outs in the third. Dean has issued just 1 walk. That came to the leadoff batter, but now the Blue Jays racking up some base hits against them. They have 6 hits. I think the poor starting pitching is what's so disheartening about the moves the Twins made yesterday. Twins were hoping they turned a corner in July. They had a winning record in July. It looked like they were going to have a winning record in August again. But then the starting pitching has just fallen apart, and 2 of the cornerstones are what the Twins hope to present next year as a much better pitching staff. Tyler Duffy and Jose Barrios both sent down.
Well, they're giving everybody within shouting distance in the major leagues in this organization a shot. They're looking at everybody. Alex Wimmer's a #1 pick for the Twins, is pitching out of the bullpen right now. And Alber's back up. I mean, they're literally, they've seen everybody in this organization, and that doesn't mean that there aren't guys here that can step up next year and be better than they were this year. But very big concern of Paul Molitor's. His #1 concern is, what are we going to do with the pitching staff next year? And you got to believe that as this organization moves forward and decides on its general manager, they've already decided that guy right there will be the manager going into next year at least. What will they do with the pitching staff? Because that is their #1 priority.
Looking ahead to next year, you'll have Irvin Santana. The hope is Phil Hughes will not only come back healthy, but come back in the form he pitched 2 years ago. Hector Santiago is a veteran who has pitched poorly since coming to the Twins, but he was 6-0 with a good ERA in July. Kyle Gibson, the Twins keep waiting for Gibson to be someone that they can rely on and be counted on.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of decisions to be made. I doubt they're going to console with you and I, so
well, I can promise you they won't. You think things are bad now? Wait till they start asking my opinion. 1-2. Barney is the batter. Dean trying to get the Twins off the field in the third. I think they've had enough look at Liriano tonight to believe that this game is far from over.
Well, and that's why I said, you know, this ballpark especially, yes, the Blue Jays have great hitters. You're going to have to pitch and really pitch to beat them. Crowd a little bit upset with Pat Dean. I always get a kick out of this. You know the guy's got a chance to get a good jump. You're trying to be honest over there, keep him close, give your catcher a chance. You throw over 3 times in a row and the crowd starts getting nervous.
To me, when he's doing that, he looks like he's balking, but none has been called yet. Pulled foul. It looks like he is striding more towards home plate than first base when he's flipping over there, but 77% is a pretty good steal rate. And he's one of the few Blue Jays that can do a little running if you give them the opportunity. Dean trying to deny them that chance.
Well, we can't afford to give the Blue Jays another run, and you keep it right here at 5. You got a chance to come back and be in this game.
Time called by Manny Gonzalez.
2 outs. This has been a very important inning for Pat Dean.
At some point, you need to string some zeros together.
Yep. 68 pitches already, and they're not going to let him go past 100. I promise you that.
And the base hit to right. Nice job of hitting by Barney. Just poking the ball through the big hole on the right side of the infield.
Huge hole over there. Dozier was the guy to go to second base in case Upton decided to steal, and Barney saw that, went with the pitch down and away. You see the location, and all he did was throw his hands at the ball. Great hitting right there.
In the second inning, Smoke hit his big home run, and then Carrera was retired, and then Bautista busted his bat, got a 2-out single, and didn't think much of it until Donaldson hit his opposite field home run, and it went from a 3-run inning to a 5-run inning, and now a couple of 2-out singles. A drive to left field. Upton will round third. Grossman comes up firing. It comes through, but not in time. And the Twins, who gave up a lot of 2-out runs in the Detroit series, are giving them up early again here tonight.
Very frustrating. It's almost hard to watch when you have 2 quick outs. He gets Martin and Tulowitzki for 2 outs, then a base hit, kind of a little bleeder for Upton. Barney hits the ball the other way, and then a solid base hit for Smoke, another RBI. The ball gets to Robbie Grossman at the same time that Upton crosses third base. Let's watch the timing of this. Upton's just at third base, and yet he easily beats that throw.
So 3 2-out singles and another run for the Jays at 6-2. Here's Carrera. Fouled away. Carrera trying to ambush a first pitch fastball. Activity in the Twins bullpen. Andrew Albers getting loose. Chopper towards second. Dozier will just flip to Polanco to end the inning, but again some damage after the second out. 3 hits and another Toronto run. Fox Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. What's yours? Beautiful night in Toronto. Unfortunately, a familiar score and story. 6-2 Toronto. Max Kepler will lead off the fourth, and he takes inside, ball one. Kepler with a two-hopper to second, his first time up. Swing and a miss. 1-1. Kepler, Polanco, and Escobar facing Liriano, who pretty much gave the Twins a run in the third. 2 walks. He committed an error. He's got a run without a hit. Now 2-1. 3-1. Kepler backing out of the way. Liriano started his trouble in the third inning with a 5-pitch walk to Suzuki. And Suzuki came around to score. And a 5-pitch walk to Kepler to start the fourth inning.
Well, that's got to make his manager and hitting coach fairly happy. A good at-bat for Max Kepler. Don't go up there and give away at-bats. Liriano showing that he doesn't have the command right now. You might as well go up there and look for something that you can handle, and he might self-implode.
I think that's one of the encouraging things about Kepler. He doesn't have 300 at-bats yet, and we haven't seen him chase pitches out of the strike zone that much.
Especially up. He really is good at laying off that high fastball.
As opposed to the aforementioned Oswaldo Arcia, who got about 1,000 at-bats with the Twins and still chased that high pitch. 1-0 now to Polanco. Might be taking a strike here. And he does. 1-1. Blue Jays acquiring Liriano and essentially giving him what was Aaron Sanchez's starting spot in the rotation. Tip 1 and 2. Sanchez has been outstanding, and now they're concerned about his innings.
And of course, Jack Morris, being who he is and good friend of John Gibbons, I went up to Gibby today and I said, 6-man rotation, your thoughts? And he looks at me, he goes, you know the answer, why are you asking the question? Basically, he's telling me that, you know, the front office, the people, his bosses are the ones making that decision. And he does not want to see his best pitcher, Aaron Sanchez, missing time, but he will start again here soon.
1 down. Take a look at the pitch down and in, chased by Polanco.
Yeah,
that slider.
Slider. Liriano came back and got 2 strikes, and then he buries that back foot slider. That's his go-to pitch.
Fox Tracks presented by Dodge. Here's Escobar. I will label you, and I think you'll take it as a compliment, as being old school. My impression of John Gibbons, and you certainly know him a lot better than I do, he's ancient school. Is that fair?
No, I think he's made the bridge. He understands old school, obviously, but he understands today's players too. I think he's a great example of a baseball guy. I can't speak highly enough about John Gibbons and what I think he is. And he's smart enough to know that, you know, to keep a job in this game, you have to listen to everybody that's a part of the system.
3-0 now to Escobar.
But through time, I think, you know, even the subject we're talking about a 6-man rotation, taking your best starter and basically shutting him down in innings, even though they're in a pennant race. You know, we're talking about a team that could win the division. And he's smart enough to know that, hey, if they're going to do that, if that's what their plans are, who am I to say they can't, you know? And I guess he's kind of wanting to see how it evolves for Aaron Sanchez, the organization, and baseball in general. He's willing to just wait it out.
Another walk to Escobar.
A walk, a strikeout, a walk. We've seen that before. 4th walk, 4 strikeouts for Liriano.
Our CarSoup.com trivia question: which two Twins players are tied with the most career home runs hit in Canada?
Well, does that count amateur ball? Because Morneau would be way up
there. And he would be an easy answer, but I don't think that's the correct
No,
answer, because Justin struggled for years when he would come here.
He tried to do too much.
And, you know, you show up here if you're from Canada, and every TV station wants to interview you, and there's a lot of media pressure here. So I don't think Justin's part of the correct answer. Well, Twins with a chance here again. Couple of walks, a strikeout. The 8th place hitter Suzuki at the plate with Rosario on deck.
And you got to remember, this organization didn't come into business until the late 70s.
Right.
So
Harmon's not part of the answer.
and Allison and all those old great Twins home run hitters are not in the equation.
Ball 1 now to Suzuki. In the 3rd inning, Aaron Loup was warming up. And I can't believe Liriano's leash is any longer in the 4th than it was in the 3rd. Driven to right center field toward the gap. Kepler will score. Escobar got a good read. He'll round 3rd, and he's coming home. And it is a 2-run double for Kurt Suzuki. And a 6-4 ball game. Good stroke by Kurt Suzuki, driving one to the gap in right center.
Don't give up. And Kurt Suzuki was able to shoot the ball right in the gap. Upton did not exactly explode after this ball. Kepler did a great job of making sure the ball got down before he even made an effort to go to 3rd base. You watch him go back, and once he sees it's going to go down, he scores easily. And then Escobar on his horse, he rounds 3rd base. And Glenn waving him in, he scores easy. So Suzuki picks up 2 RBI.
Rosario tried to drop down a bunt in front of Donaldson, 1 strike.
And the Twins just 2 runs away again.
Joe Biagini is now warming up in the Toronto bullpen.
We say Joe Biagini has really pitched well for Toronto.
1-1. There he is. Loup, the left-hander, was up before. Now Biagini, a right-hander, is warming up. 1-1 to Rosario. And a strike, 1-2. Twins have been out hit 8-2. But Rosario at the plate, representing the tying run. Not a piece, stayed alive. Rosario now with 61 at bats against left-handers and only 2 extra base hits. They're both doubles, no triples, no home runs, and only 5 runs batted in. So his average 233 is okay, but his power really is taken away with a left-hander on the mound. Chases, goes upstairs. Liriano with a strikeout for out number 2.
Yeah, you were talking about Oswaldo Arcia and how he would chase up this guy right there. Rosario still has shown a lot of the league that he will chase out of the zone up. Ball shoulder high. 5th strikeout for Liriano.
And now Dozier at the plate, taking a strike at the knees. I've seen the Jays with a 5-run inning, but this is the 3rd plate appearance they've had in the last 2 innings where they've had the tying run at the plate. Up and away. Twins had a team meeting before the game today, and Paul Molitor, for what he wanted to share with the media. 1-1. Dozier lifts it high to right field. And Bautista hardly has to move. Talk more about the team meeting when we come back. The Twins answer with a couple in the fourth thanks to Liriano's wildness.
Canadian native. Andrew Albers gets the call. He's from North Battleford, Saskatchewan. Talked to him this afternoon. He said, I've been the big since 2013. I even spent part of 2015 with the Blue Jays, but I still haven't pitched here as a big leaguer. I haven't pitched here since I was 17 years old, a high school baseball player on that field. He said it was incredible. What a rush to be out there, growing up a Blue Jays fan and finally being out there as a high schooler. He said, I'm really looking forward to this weekend, getting back on that mound and setting it right as a major leaguer, guys. And tonight he'll get a chance to keep the Twins in this game, who seem to have brought their bats on the road.
Yeah, Albers will face the top of the Toronto lineup: Bautista, Donaldson, Encarnacion, Pat Dean Dunn, having given up 6 runs over 3 innings, and now Albers delivers ball 1. Albers called up a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, gave the Twins 6 relief innings. There's a dribbler up the line, and Albers will go to the bag, 1 down. Check swing, and a fair ball all the way, 1 down. But Bautista with his check swing.
Yeah, watch this effort. That's really getting out of the box.
1 down. Albers won a lot of points in the Twins dugout with his relief effort in the split doubleheader a couple weeks ago. 6 innings. He got knocked around a little bit early, but he found something, stayed with it, and was able to finish the ball game, which saved the bullpen. Strike 1.
And that might be part of the reason that he's back up right now when the Twins need innings again.
On the ground, nice stop at third. Escobar comes up firing. Good play by Eduardo Escobar, taking a hit away from Josh Donaldson.
You throw it over, and your infielders and outfielders will give you their best effort. Now it looks like Escobar might be in a little pain there. Suzuki coming out to give him a little extra time. I don't know what it is, whether it's his hand or his back or his leg, but he was grimacing a little bit.
2 down quickly in the 4th, and that'll bring up Encarnacion.
He's all right. Whatever it was, he wants to get the game going.
At stake, perhaps, for Albers is a starting assignment in Cleveland on Wednesday. We're talking about Pat Dean getting another start in Cleveland. And if things go better for Albers out of the bullpen, then Dean in the starting role tonight, the Twins would have the option, I suppose, of starting Albers. 1-1. And a foul, 1-2.
Well, Dean, rough outing and a not very good numbers. 3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. So another audition right here.
1-2. Whoa! That looked like that had plenty of the plate. And Manny Gonzalez said no.
See, it's a fastball and
at the corner anyway.
Borderline down, but I think Suzuki did a great job of framing that. The ball was probably a lot lower than it looked.
High fly center field. And Rosario with the catch. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Andrew Albers.
Toronto Blue Jays leading by 2, 6-4. It's not over yet, so stick around. Twins fans, don't forget at Twins home games, bring your Circle Me signs. And if you get circled, you may find yourself in the Minnesota Lottery's winner circle, where you could win $100 worth of lottery scratch-off tickets, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery.
Robbie Grossman leading off the 5th, and Liriano delivers ball 1. He's walked the leadoff man in each of the last 2 innings and paid the price. There's a strike, 1-1. Grossman walked with 1 out in the 3rd, filled the bases. The Twins got 1 run in the 3rd, having not gotten a hit in the inning, and then they got 2 runs in the 4th with 1 hit. Now 1-2.
'90th pitch coming for the left-hander, and we're in the top of the 5th. Nobody out.
That stung Martin. That got him on the thigh.
Yeah, that's not the way you want to go about catching a ball down, but he tried to pick it, and it didn't hit his glove. It ended up hitting inside his shin protector, I think.
2-2. Grossman struck out on the 1st, walked in the 3rd. Tapper to 3rd. Donaldson charges, throws on the run, 1 away. And before Plouffe hits, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Girls on the Run and their dedication to empowering young girls and instilling confidence through running. Registration is now open. You can learn more about how you can get involved this fall and visit foxsportsupports.com. 1 down, leadoff man retired for the first time since the 2nd inning. And now Trevor Plouffe. Talking about the team meeting that was called before the Twins took the field for batting practice here, and the gist of the meeting according to what Paul Molitor was willing to divulge to the media, was you've got an awful lot to play for here. And I think without sugarcoating it, I mean, is there anybody on this 25-man roster who is not playing for a job for next year? Twins have used 47 players, 27 pitchers this year. Virtually every position except, I guess, for second base and Irvin Santana and probably first base. The jobs are wide open. Kepler maybe in right field. But basically, I think what the manager's message was, look, let's try to finish strong. Let's get back to the type of baseball we were playing in July.
Yeah, Paul, it's eating away at him. I know he's a quiet guy, but he's also a prideful guy. He's been on winners. He understands being in the game mentally, physically, being prepared. He's probably the best I've ever seen at preparation. And it frustrates him that guys give away at bats and a lot of the repeated mental errors and mistakes. 6 strikeout for Laureano. He just thought it was time that they be reminded. And I think it's perfect timing. You know, he doesn't have a lot of meetings. See that last pitch, another slider. He got Grossman in on the hands, and then that slider right there to Plouffe underneath his hands.
Bring up Sano, who struck out on 4 changeups to end the 3rd inning. Fastball's up, ball 1.
Paul's not a big fan of those meetings, I know, but as a manager, sometimes you just have to let them know that don't take this for granted, kids. You know, you're wearing a major league uniform. There's a lot of people that would love to take your job. And I don't think he threatened anybody, but he reminded them that nothing's given to you.
Check swing. Will they appeal? No swing, 2-1. Very close to a swing. I would have rung them up for strike 2, wouldn't you?
We're not out there.
No. And now a strike taken.
Sano just does not look comfortable up there. He's moving before the ball even gets close to the plate with his lower body.
Check swing, and this time they say he went. So Sano strikes out, and Laureano rebounds with a 1-2-3 5th inning. Albers starting his second inning of work, pitching to Russell Martin, missing with his first pitch, 1-0. Now a strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Mountain Dew fans of the game, Twins fans with some pretty good seats here at the Rogers Center. Into the shift, Dozier on that side of the second base bag, and Martin will he get to first base? Yep, 1 down. And that'll bring up Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki with a single and a fly to right. Quite a near no-hitter last night. Matt Moore, newly acquired by the Dodgers, or by the Giants, I mean, nearly no-hit the Dodgers. 2 outs in the 9th inning. A little flare to right dropped in, and one of the great treats for me last night was being able to listen to part of the game. Vin Scully broadcasting the Dodgers telecast, and almost witnessing baseball history with maybe the greatest baseball historian on the microphone.
I kept getting alerts on my phone about it.
Which, as you were trying to get us go to sleep, probably wasn't the highlight of your night. But Mr. Scully, of course, will retire after this season. Now, you had a no-hitter, as I recall, in Chicago against the White Sox, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever have one broken up in the 9th inning?
No, I never had another one deep in the game.
Oh, is that right?
I had a couple of one-hitters, but they were early in the game. I told you I had a perfect game. The trouble is I gave up a leadoff hit, and I got 27 straight outs.
Okay.
But that goes down in the books as a one-hitter.
Yeah. 2-2. If they did allow mulligans in baseball, you'd have had a perfect game.
Yeah.
Tulowitzki strikes out, 2 down.
Well, Andrew Albers is doing a nice job of containing since he's been in the game. 5 straight outs.
Well, in this Dayton Twins history, Jack Kralik pitched the first no-hitter in Twins history. Shut out the Kansas City A's 1-0. And had a perfect game going until there were 2 out in the 9th inning. George Alusic drew a walk. And if you look hard enough, you'll be able to listen to it. Ray Scott and Halsey Hall calling the last out of Jack Kralik's no-hitter. A pop up to Vic Power. Foul down the left field line. Now, I can tell you where I was when he threw that no-hitter, just a young lad, but I have a memory of that game and hearing about it. Were you aware of the early Twins successes and failures?
Not Jack Kralik. No, I can confess that I don't remember that name, don't remember that game.
2 strikes and missing inside. The early Twins, Lenny Green, Vic Power, Bernie Allen, Rich Rollins, Earl Batty, Allison Killebrew, of course, Pasquale, Cott. 1-2. And a little cue shot. Dozier has a weird hop, but he stays with it. Andrew Albers is putting together some good innings here in the middle of this game. A pair of 1, 2, 3 innings. here tonight. He can be given credit for the win. I think you'd be hard pressed to say he pitched particularly well with all the walks, but he gave up just 2 hits.
2 hits, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, which is kind of a typical Lariano game. And Joe Biagini will be the new Blue Jay pitcher. He's done very well as of late, and I think he's become one of those bridge guys for John Gibbons. He's been using him in these type of situations to hold, get to the closer later in Osuna.
Kepler walked and scored back in the 4th inning. Went down a couple of runs. Kepler facing the right-hander Biagini. He takes a fastball, strike 1. Kepler, then switch hitters Polanco and Escobar. Drive to center field. Solid single for Kepler.
That's Max right there. That's his swing. That's his pitch. He keeps his head down, goes down and drives that ball. Twins with their leadoff hitter on. I'm telling you, this game is not over yet. Down and in.
That was the pitch that he clobbered 4 times in Cleveland for a home run. But Paul Molitor said it best. He said, you know, he's a line drive hitter. It's just for whatever reason, got a lot of backspin on those balls in Cleveland, and they had a little higher launch angle and left the yard. Here's Polanco. Popped up, and that'll spin back into the seats. 1 strike. Polanco with a couple of strikeouts.
Yeah, Lariano did a nice job against Polanco, getting him to swing out of the zone and a couple of breaking balls.
Chopper to first. Picked up by Smoke out there. Relay to first right in time. They got the lead runner. Kepler retired at second. 1 down. And that'll bring up Escobar. Escobar drew a walk and scored his last time up. Base hit to right. Polanco to second. He'll hold up there. And the Twins have greeted Biagini with a couple of line drive hits, and now Suzuki with 2 men aboard.
Escobar continues to have a pretty good week at the plate. He did make an out his first at bat, walked his second time, and now on base for the second time with a base hit.
And now Suzuki, a 2-run double to right center field. In his 4th inning at bat against a left-hander, Upton was playing a few steps over in left center, and now in this at bat, Upton shading to right center where Suzuki hit his double. Side ball 1. With just 4 hits, but 2 of them here in the 6th inning. Strike called. 1-1. Suzuki didn't like it.
And Gonzalez might have helped out. Joe Biagini there with that pitch up and away.
1-1. Foul. And now it's 1-2.
Big Blue Jay crowd here tonight. They're trying to wake themselves up with the old wave. It's been pretty quiet, even though they've been in control of this game for the most part.
One and two. If you don't like the wave, you can blame the 1984 Detroit Tigers and by extension every member of that team.
By extension. Why? You think I was up there encouraging it or what?
But that's where it first started, right?
Apparently it did.
Yeah. 1-2. And Suzuki flips one foul over the Twins dugout. That's one of my greatest fears about the wave all these years, and it may have just happened. Foul balls hit into the crest of the wave just as somebody's sitting down and somebody taking one right in the mouth because he couldn't see it. 1-2. And it hit him. Suzuki in a check swing got hit in the forearm or the elbow. And now the Twins have the tying run at second with only one out. A hit batter filling the bases here in the sixth.
Hit his back elbow. So the Twins will have them loaded up again.
Right in the point of the right elbow. Walker, the pitching coach, has said his piece, and now Eddie Rosario and the Twins need a good at bat here. Rosario reached on a little dribbler between the mound and first base, mishandled by Liriano. Then he struck out, leaving Suzuki at second base in the fourth.
I think it's, the league is aware, and Pete Walker in particular is aware that you get ahead, you can go up in the zone, up the ladder on Eddie Rosario. And Eddie just needs to have a good at bat here, be it a productive at bat. The Twins are only trailing by 2. They've got bases loaded, only one out. You don't want to hit a ground ball hard right at an infielder.
Rosario so much more productive against right-handed pitching. One strike. Drive to center. Upton coming in, making the catch. Tagging is Polanco, and the throw to third base. The Twins get at least one back. Rosario with a productive at bat, driving in one.
Did a good enough job there. He got the ball to the outfield with good speed, and Polanco at third, able to pick up an RBI.
Now Dozier, who's hit the ball in the air 3 times, looking for a big at bat here, his 4th time up. Couple of singles, and the hit batter really a key plate appearance in this inning so far, sending Polanco to third base so he could score on the fly ball. We'll see if Dozier can put the Twins in front. One away, ball 1. About it in the homestand that Brian has a chance this year to really have an extraordinary year in that he has an outside chance of scoring and driving in 100 runs in the same season, which when you are primarily a leadoff batter, that's pretty remarkable. He's not hitting third or fourth in the lineup. Still has a chance to drive in 100 runs. Down and away, 2-1.
Well, these are the bats that I really look at Brian Dozier and try to envision down the road. You know, postseason, quality teams running for postseason. You know, it's something different when you're out of the game and you hit a home run, and that's all nice. But you got to put yourself in those pressure situations. This is a game-tying opportunity with a runner in scoring position.
Ball on the outside corner, 2-2.
And those are more of those scenarios for postseason play. I'm also watching the Blue Jays tonight and asking myself, are they a playoff team the way they're playing tonight? And the answer right now is no. Even though they've scored 6 runs, you know, not exactly crisp quality baseball, so the Twins are still in this thing.
Target outside. And a half swing, and Manny Gonzalez rings up Dozier again. A check swing strikeout ended the 5th inning with Sano at the plate. And the Twins get 1 but leave 2. It's 6-5. And if you've watched over the years as home plate umpires who make this call, and it takes all of 3 seconds to ask the base umpire. Here's Sano. He did not go around the check swing that ended the 5th. Dozier may have, but you can see Manny Gonzalez there ringing up Sano, and he did not go. Now here's Dozier's, and it was close. You say that's strike 3? I'm not going to argue with you.
Well, the bat's way out in front of home plate, so yeah, he crossed the plane.
Barney leading off against Andrew Albers, who burns the outside corner.
The thing is, the hitter can sometimes tell you what they did. Dozier knew he was struck out, so he didn't even argue. But Sano stood back like, how can you call me out?
There's a high fly to left. Grossman going back, still back at the wall. Leaps, it's gone. Barney with a home run. His 4th of the year. And the Blue Jays answer in their half of the 6th.
Well, he just got enough of it. That ball spun the backside of the wall as it was coming down, but Robbie Grossman not enough vertical leap to get his glove up over the top of the wall. Get to see it again. Fastball middle in.
It's a fly ball to left. Look at Barney.
Barney does not think initially that this is gone, but it carries. It just clears the wall.
And now Justin Smoke, who cleared it by plenty in the 2nd. A 3-run home run that gave the Jays their first lead. Ball 1.
Every time the Twins score, it seems like the next half inning the Blue Jays counter.
Missing. 2-0. Center field and deep, chased by Rosario, making the catch on the warning track. 1 down. And that'll bring up Carrera. Carrera with a couple of ground balls to Brian Dozier tonight. Wasn't in the original starting lineup. Upton was in left field and Kevin Pillar was in center, but then Pillar came down with flu-like symptoms. Strike 1.
Well, the Twins got activity in their pen. Pat Light, who's done a very good job in the last couple games of pitching a clean, scoreless inning, is up and throwing in the Twins pen. Another pitcher up and throwing. I think that's Joaquin.
He was warming up before. One and one to Carrera.
There's Pat Light. You know what he reminds me of? Joe Nathan.
Yeah. Even facially a little bit.
A little bit facially,
yeah.
But his delivery, his antics is just the way he moves around out there.
Polanco with a low throw and it skipped by Flute.
He bobbled it momentarily and then he rushed it. He did not need to rush it. He had a little more time than he thought. And Plouffe could not answer on the other end. So that'll be an error charge to Jorge.
A 1-out error. See where the throw lands here. Right on the edge of the carpet and the dirt. And that'll be the end of the night for Andrew Albers. Went through the lineup once, gave up 1 hit, a home run, and leaves with a runner on first and 1 down. But he did what the Twins desperately needed someone to do, put some zeros up in the 4th and 5th innings. The Rogers Center, he's out of the game after a good outing. The Twins flex plan gives you the flexibility to choose your games and your number of seats. You can choose in advance even the day of the game. So don't plan, flex plan. Go to twinsbaseball.com/flex or call 800-33-TWINS to learn more. Pat Light coming in his 3rd appearance since being called up from Rochester.
Yeah, we're just talking off the air. The fact that we both like what we've seen so far in Pat Light. He's a big, tall, strong right-hander, throws the ball very hard, and for the most part has been throwing strikes.
Bautista the batter, a lot of right-handed batters in there for Toronto, and you've heard of the phrase What have you done for me lately? When you look at Light, you need to emphasize the me. What have you done for me lately? Because the carnage that you saw listed there was as a member of the Boston Red Sox. 2 good outings so far, 1 inning at a time. And look, oh, that ball rolls away from Plouffe with Light throwing a sinker over to first base. 2 innings, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. So yeah, a very small sample size, but the Twins have seen velocity and from the center field camera at least, it looks like a baffling split finger pitch that breaks any which way. 1-0 to Bautista.
Changeup coming here.
Breaking ball. And it's 2-0. Looks like a strike. And now a check swing strike at 94 miles per hour. Light came to the Twins organization with a resume that included upper 90s velocity and triple-digit velocity from time to time. Change up and in. And Light hit 100 miles per hour while pitching for the Rochester Red Wings.
I'd rather he hit the glove.
3-1 to Bautista. Old foul. Suzuki set up outside. The pitch came over inside.
And that's just it. Mistakes, you sometimes get away with them, but you keep making them and it's going to haunt you. You got the heart of the Jays lineup here. He needs an out. You got 1 out, a runner on first.
Full count. Breaking ball got him. Runner goes and a steal at second. And a throw to third, not in time. It'll be an error charge to Suzuki. Bautista struck out. And Carrera steals second, goes to third on the error.
Well, Light got that split finger. He throws it in 3-2 count. And it's nasty. Bautista swings and misses. You see the movement of that forkball. And then Suzuki just airmails one out to center field.
Second Twins error of the inning. And Carrera scampered to third. Incidental contact with Brian Dozier. He reaches safely. And now Josh Donaldson. Twins have given one back on the Barney home run. Light trying to strand a very important runner at third base. Inside with a changeup or a splitter. Fastball low. Donaldson with a 2-run home run in the 5-run second inning. The Twins have been running uphill ever since. Inside. 3-0. Yeah, I can see some of the mannerisms. Light doesn't quite have the nervous ticks that Joe Nathan did.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Well, he's got a couple of them.
He walks Donaldson and has to face Encarnacion with 2 on. We might see a few more nervous ticks. First and third now, 2 down. If what we're seeing from the center field camera is in fact the movement of a split finger pitch and not a breaking ball, then that looks to me like that could be a money pitch for him. The ears drop straight down, but the way his breaks almost makes it appear like a breaking ball.
You know, it was such an effective pitch for a decade plus for so many big leaguers, and for the most part baseball has cautioned a lot of the younger pitchers to throwing that pitch because of the stress it does put on your elbow. But the guys that are big and strong, and in Light's case, has probably learned it after nothing else was a put-away pitch.
Quick trip to the mound by Kurt Suzuki.
And it's been effective, and it can be a devastating pitch. So it'll be interesting to see if that pitch is kind of resurrected again in baseball with more knowledge of what you can do to strengthen that elbow to keep it strong and not put the stress on it.
Only 3 strikes out of 11 pitches for Light so far. And inside again with that split finger pitch. You need to throw it in the direction of the strike zone, and he's missed inside to a lot of these right-handed batters.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a feel with that pitch.
2-0. Nice scoop by Suzuki. 3-0. Martin on deck.
Well, this is just a fastball that gets away from him. Suzuki more reacting than anything else. You can't teach that.
Light struck out Bautista, walked Donaldson. Now he's in danger of filling the bases with another walk. 95 on the outside corner. Just inside, a pair of walks now. We'll load him up for Russell Martin. Got back into the game, taking advantage of Liriano's walks. Now they're in danger of falling out of the game with Pat Light having a tough time throwing strikes. 15 pitches and just 4 strikes. Neil Allen to the mound. Martin has not gotten the ball out of the infield yet. Pop up and a couple of ground balls. Michael Tonkin just starting to get loose.
He just needs an out here. He's walked 2 guys to get to that. It'd all be erased if he can somehow manage to get the out.
Neil Allen ran back with Kurt Suzuki to the home plate area with some final words for the catcher. Big spot here. The Twins have fought their way back into the game. Now trail by 2, but the Jays have the bases loaded. Inside ball 1.
Well, if you're counting, that was the 238th pitch of this game. We're in the bottom of the 6th. So we haven't had a real clean, high command of pitches. Liriano was wild. Dean had his struggles. Now Light has walked a couple guys with a strikeout. A lot of pitches thrown from him. Biagini, same type of inning. So we might see 350, 400 yet before this one's over.
2-0 to Martin. $14 pitches and 4 strikes. Excuse me, 18 pitches and 4 strikes. And Light trying to find the strike zone. And Martin will be taking a strike. And he takes one over the inside corner. Might have been the hardest fastball that he's thrown. Usually 3-0, and you got to throw a strike. He reared back and threw it as hard as he could, or at least as hard as he has. 3-1 to Martin. To left center field and pasted to the gap. 3 runs will score, and Martin with a 3-run double breaks it back open for Toronto. And how many outs were there, Jack?
All with 2 outs again. We just talked about how the fact that the Blue Jays keep coming back after the Twins peck away and get closer. They counter with 4 more in this half inning. He had to throw a strike. You get 3-1, get 3-0. He throws a strike. 3-1, same pitch, same location, but this time Martin's ready for it, and that's professional hitting. Why is such a simple game so difficult? You know, we all know what it means to get ahead, and yet it's not easy. It's not easy getting ahead. That's the one thing, especially Twins fans have had to watch over and over and over.
One strike, and now inside, 1-1.
As I'm watching this, I can't help but remind myself of the guy that came over and really made a difference for a young staff when I was working here for the Jays, and that was former Chicago White Sox pitcher and a great pitcher, Mark Burley. Here's a guy that couldn't break 85 miles an hour, and his heart was as big as this building, and came in and threw strikes and challenged everybody with the slop he was throwing. And I just want to hug him for it, because he wasn't afraid to use what God gave him and throw it over and get outs.
2-1. Now 3-1, and Light's not going to be long for the world here tonight if he issues a third walk here in the 6th inning. You look back at the inning, you think, wow, a strikeout of Bautista and a stolen base and an error. He's at third base, but you know, that was a big out. And it turns out it wasn't very big at all because of what has happened since. 3-1. And in the case of Burley, almost from the beginning of his major league career, 200-some wins later, pinpoint control.
Yeah.
He knew exactly where he wanted to throw the ball, and I'm sure he missed quite a few times in his career, but he had command in and out of the strike zone.
You just mentioned a good point. In and out. He would get guys to chase with a purpose pitch, away, out, up.
And now another walk, and Light, a wild pitch will allow Martin to go to third, and I think the Twins are going to have to make a move here. And here comes Paul Molitor. So Light had a couple of good outings for the Twins, but not good at all here tonight. He faced 5 men, issued 3 walks, a 2-run double. And the 9th man to bat will be Melvin Upton Jr., and he will hit against Michael Tonkin when we come back. Blue Jays have opened up. They've scored 10 tonight, and leading comfortably, still hitting in the 6th. The Twins in tonight's game only got 3 innings from their starting pitcher, Pat Dean. Michael Tonkin gets another outing here. 9th man to bat this inning will be Melvin Upton Jr.
We'll close the book on Andrew Alvarez, who pitches 2 1/3 innings, a 1-hit ball, but he does allow 2 runs, both earned. and 1 strikeout.
Well, actually, no, you asked me, and I misspoke because Carrera reached on an error.
Reached on an error, but
so he wouldn't have been on base, and the inning would have been over. So
okay, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
I was right, but I was wrong when you asked me.
You were just wrong.
Just yes. 1-0 now. Tonkin facing Upton, and now a strike 1-1. Tonkin has had to absorb a lot of the short starts. 6 pitches Friday, 24 Tuesday, 23 yesterday, and the options, frankly, aren't very good. Swing and a miss.
Well, if you space it out and he pitches 100 pitches every 5th day, I guess he's just considered a start reliever that gets the same number of pitches as starters.
Twins, thankfully, tomorrow will have Irvin Santana as their starter. And he's been the closest thing to a sure thing in terms of pitching effectively. And now Tonkin nearly spins Suzuki around in a pirouette. 2-2.
You know, I just saw him do something that's the latest fad in baseball. He points to his chest like it's my bat. Well, who in the stadium didn't know that? I mean, is he telling somebody something that we didn't know?
2-2. And now outside 3-2.
I don't know. Help me.
Sometimes catcher feels, I'm sure, like a soccer goalie behind home plate. 3-2. There have already been 3 walks and error that proved very costly. Tapper to short. Polanco sets and fires on target this time. The Blue Jays get 3 unearned runs in a 4-run 6th and lead by 5. A bunch of runs again tonight.
Too many. It's been awful hard for the Twins to try to play catch up day in and day out. The Blue Jays with 10 on the board so far. The game's not over yet. Twins doing a pretty good job of trying to stay close in this one. They've scored 5 runs. But you like pitches? You'd love this game because we're at over 300, I got to believe, right now.
I am a fan of some pitches and others I'd rather not have witnessed. Here's Joaquin Benoit. He'll pitch to the Twins in the 7th. Twins lost the ball game, the series finale, to the Tigers yesterday, but there was a little pushback towards the end. They forced the Tigers to bring their closer in. And there's been some pushback here again in this game after the 5-run 2nd inning. But my goodness, you can't give up 10 runs a game and expect to win any of them. 1-0 to Robbie Grossman. Now 2-0. You'd like to think, wouldn't you, that after 6 innings, if you had scored 5 runs, you might have had a lead after 6 innings, but that's not the case.
It doesn't happen every day, but you've got to win those games. You've got to be better than the way the Twins have been as of the last week or so.
And you can say, well, some of the runs were unearned, but that's part of the problem too. The defense has not been good this year, and the 2 errors, at least one of them, very costly. The error on Suzuki really didn't factor into the scoring, but the Jays only get 1 run if Polanco throws on target from short. 3-1 to Grossman. We'll see how generous Benoit is. The Twins have gotten back into the game in part because of Toronto's control issues here tonight. And a strike on the outside corner. Grossman, Plouffe, and Sano facing the veteran Joaquin Benoit. Blue Jays got 5 wobbly innings from Francisco Liriano. And base hit right field. Grossman with a single to start the 7th. And it'll bring up Plouffe. Soup.com trivia question. In Canada, I'm going to go with Kent Herbeck and Torrey Hunter.
I'm going with Herbeck. They said, no, I got him wrong. You got it right.
7.
Bruno.
And Tom Bernansky with 7 home runs in Canada. Most of them at Exhibition Stadium. 2 hopper to 3rd. Donaldson starts a double play. And Plouffe with a home run and a sacrifice fly grounds into a double play on the first pitch he sees in the 7th. 2 down. That'll bring up Sano. Sano 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, you got it right. You got that
in
right too.
Canada.
All of his home runs, Bruno's, were at Exhibition Stadium.
And Torrey got one in Montreal. A little bit of a trick question.
Would that have been an interleague? No.
Yeah, for Torrey.
It would have been.
Yeah, sure.
So Montreal was still playing in Montreal when interleague came in.
Oh, yeah, we made 2 trips there.
Did you really?
In interleague play.
I thought they were history by then.
No. You are revered here in Toronto because you came here and helped the Blue Jays win a couple of World Series championships, 1-0. But you could not have had a very high opinion of Exhibition Stadium as an opponent.
Boy, it was tough there. I remember so much wind and so much cold at the old ballpark. I also remember some great Blue Jay teams. You know, George Bell, guys that real Jays fans don't remember that much because it was a long time ago. But they put this franchise on the map. And Lloyd Mosby, you know, played
Jesse Barfield.
They all played most of their career. Jim Clancy, pitcher. George Bell, of course, in the Jays Hall of Fame. His name's put up there in left center field.
2-1 to Sano. And now 3-1 with Kepler on deck.
Talking to some of the Blue Jay people about Benoit, they said that, believe it or not, he is no longer the human rain delay. That he gets the ball and throws the ball a lot better than days gone by, where he would literally take, I don't know, 25 seconds between pitches.
Towering fly ball, right field line, and Bautista trots under it. And the Twins send just 3 men to the plate in the 7th. Coverage of baseball. Gary Sanchez did it again. 10 home runs in 20 games. And he looks like he might be catching for the Yankees for a long time.
Keeps that up, he will.
Yeah. Kansas City Royals swept the Twins in 4 games in Kansas City. And now at Fenway Park, they've got a 5-2 lead.
I'm telling you, that race in the Central's heating up.
And Justin Verlander trying to pitch the Tigers to a win against the Angels. Michael Tonka trying to eat up another inning for the Twins. We're in the bottom of the 7th. The Twins have 6 more outs to get, even if they don't come back and get this game tied up.
I think the Blue Jays are going to bring in Aaron Luke next half inning. He was up earlier in the game and sat down. Now he's back up again.
And missing again, 2-1. Hit to center. And that is sailing and knuckling away from Rosario.
Wow.
And a stand-up leadoff double for Darwin Barney, who's got a single, home run, and now a double. And we got a great angle at it here. That ball headed out in Rosario's general direction, but it changed direction and sailed out there about 3 different times.
See if we can see this in slow motion. You see the ball right down the middle, and he puts a nice swing on it.
Fox Tracks presented by Carrier. Maybe from this angle, here Rosario was not going to get that ball the way it was.
Yeah, definitely
knuckling.
hooked, didn't it?
Yeah.
And hooked to his right, which is left center field.
Barney started the 6th inning with a home run. Now he starts the 7th with a double. You can see how this ball
just kept hooking.
And now one that'll drop in front of Rosario. You got to be careful with the hops. Here's the throw, and it'll be way up the line, an RBI single. Was watching batting practice here, and the artificial turf here is something to be concerned about if you're an outfielder, because that ball was hit on a line and still nearly hopped over Rosario's head. He had no chance to throw accurately because he was all out of whack and rhythm trying to catch the first hop.
I think it's the 3rd different turf that this building has had, and the latest version of it is that new type that they had at the Metrodome the last go around. It's got a lot of the particles built in underneath it, and that's why you can always see kind of a dust when the ball hits the ground, but it has a lot more spring in it, a lot softer for the fielders.
Right.
And the ball does bounce a lot more, but that ball not even close. And I think Luis Rivera knew that the angle in which Rosario was going to field that ball, go ahead and send Barney, and not even close. The ball's 40 feet up the line.
Check swing, strike 0-2. 42,534 the paid attendance here at the Rogers Center. Herrera hit a ground ball to Polanco, and it should have been the 3rd out of the inning, and the Jays should have scored just 1 run that inning. Polanco threw low. Plouffe couldn't handle the skipped throw. Then there were a couple of walks and a double, and before he knew it, Blue Jays had a 4-run inning. And now another one quickly here in the 7th. Two and two.
Now there's some more stirring down in the Twins bullpen. Looks like Ryan O'Rourke is getting loose.
Could see the major league debut of Alex Wimmers, who was called up, swing and a miss. And Herrera strikes out, 1 away. And Bautista's the batter. There's O'Rourke.
Well, fastball right down the middle, but this one fast enough to get past Ezequiel Carrera.
Just a scoring clarification, and you asked me between innings, and I thought this might be the case. In the 4-run 6th inning, There was just 1 earned run charged to the Twins, 3 unearned runs, but 2 earned runs charged to Pat Light because he entered the game, issued a couple of walks in the double, and then another walk. It's a drive, a sharp drive into the left field corner. And Bautista will go to second. And Polanco cut the ball off and looked at Dozier, but decided no throw. Second and third, one down. The Twins might have to make a change inside the inning here with Tonkin having thrown so many pitches yesterday. It really is unfair to the relief staff. Some pitchers like Tonkin trying to establish themselves as potential candidates for what the Twins will hope to be a improved bullpen next year, and then you 25 pitches one day, you're back out there the next, not for anything else other than the necessity of getting some outs to finish a game.
Well, to me, I look at it as an opportunity to work on something that you need to, and in his case, it's a secondary pitch. He's got a fastball. We all know that.
Right.
But command of his breaking ball or learning any kind of off-speed pitch, Michael Tonkin could be out there in a situation like this. This game's just an ugly clunker, 11-5, and
Double
you could be working on something, and yet you're not seeing it.
2 strikes to Donaldson. And you're facing one of the top RBI men in the league here, and he doesn't care that it's 11-5. He's got a couple of ducks on the pond here.
No, this is money for him.
Yes. Blocked by Suzuki, 1 and 2. Base hit left field. Smoke will score. Bautista to third. Blue Jays have scored tonight in every inning but the first, fourth, and fifth. Donaldson drives in a run against Tonkin. And he should have driven in at least a run with that pitch right there.
The good hitters don't miss those.
And we will have a pitching change. Tonkin was able to get the Twins off the field in the 6th, but he's given up 4 hits and at least 2 runs here in the 7th. And Ryan O'Rourke will try to finish the 7th inning. Another rugged night for the Twins pitching staff, and it's 12-5. We're still just in the 7th inning. The Blue Jays have scored in 4 different innings. They've had a 5-run inning. They've had a 4-run inning. And now 2 runs so far here in the 7th. And Ryan O'Rourke will try to get the Twins off the field here before any damage is done. He'll face Edwin Encarnacion.
Well, he'll inherit 2 runners, first and third, just 1 out.
Ball 1. Encarnacion 0 for 2, 0 for 3 rather, with a walk and a run scored. Two and 0. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen the Twins go with Juan Centeno more and more, and one of the reasons is it seems like Suzuki's had an awful lot of games like this. Rounded, backhanded by Polanco. Out at second, relay to first, not in time. Another run will score. Good play by Polanco in the hole, and they were able to get the force at second, but Bautista scores the 3rd run of the inning. These can't be easy or fun games to catch.
Well, they're fun for the Jays fans.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody in the Minnesota contingency is enjoying this.
O'Rourke, the 4th relief pitcher. One and 0. And I don't know this, but I would think with every Toronto run they score, the chances of Alex Wimmer's getting in tonight for the 8th inning are increasing.
In case you're a fan of the stats, that was pitch number 296. 92, I'm sorry.
Oh, we'll have a few more of this inning. Martin with a 2-run home run. It's the second 5-run inning for the Blue Jays here tonight. To 5 at one point not that long ago. It was 6-5.
Well, is this a rope-a-dope? So Santana is going to have a good game tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll be tired. 1-0 to Tulowitzki. And now 2-0. With Upton on deck. If Tulowitzki reaches, it'll be back-to-back bat-around innings for the Jays. And that's exactly what we've got with Tulowitzki walking with 2 outs in the 6th. He does the same thing here in the 7th, and Upton will bat. Upton made the last out of the 5th, the last out of the 6th. Suzuki out on the mound to talk with O'Rourke to try to do what he can to make sure he'll be the last out of the 7th.
Well, the Twins have got 1 more inning at least to face the Jays. Kind of wonder if maybe Escobar might get another inning in. It's that bad for Paul Molitor right now. He's got to save some bullets for tomorrow and the rest of this series. He's gone through a lot of guys out there. Wimmers, of course, hasn't made an appearance yet.
Here is Upton. 2 singles, 2 runs scored.
Chagua has been pitching in what, 3 straight games, so you don't want him in there. Brandon Kinsler is your closer.
He pitched an inning in all 3 of the Detroit games.
Right. And Presley needs some rest himself, so you've got Taylor Rogers basically and Brandon Kinsler left. And do you really want to use them in this kind of ball game?
Well, O'Rourke hasn't done himself or his teammates any favors here. He's had a tough time throwing the ball over the plate. 13 pitches, just 2 strikes. And there's a strike, 2 and 1. O'Rourke pitched 2 games ago. 2 2/3 innings against the Tigers. A couple of hits, 1 walk, but no runs allowed. Bouncer left side. And Escobar over to Plute. And that ends another bat around inning for the Jays. They scored 4 in the 6th and 5 more in the 7th. Some power, and I guess the most important thing, and at least in my book, he's making contact, consistent contact, and if he can just do that, assuming he gets called up in September, that would be an improvement. Here is Aaron Loup pitching for the Blue Jays. Kepler taking strike 1. Kepler, Polanco, and Escobar in the Twins' 8th. Breaking ball, a swing and a miss. Kepler's reached his last 2 times up, led off the 4th with a walk and scored, and then he singled sharply to center field. One and 2. 2 hopper to second. Head high hop for Barner. 1 down.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of the Minnesota Twins. I'm speechless.
Don't be. We got another inning and a half here. Don't be speechless. Here's Polanco. Over the inside corner, strike.
Aaron Loup is the guy that John Gibbons, Pete Walker, pitching coach for the Jays, have really had the luxury of using in situations over the years, but he's been hurt a lot this year, and hoping that he kind of regains some of the form that he's had in the past, because he's one of those left-handers that can get a huge out when you need it late in the game. Pitch as many as an inning or two.
Polanco with a single, and now Escobar will bat. He's walked and singled his last 2 times up.
Polanco picking up his first hit of this game.
And slinging a fastball.
Loop,
down the middle of the plate.
Loop stands on the first base side of the rubber, and then he crossfires. So, there's several guys, Chris Sale being the one that probably does it the best, but this ball is coming almost right out of the white shirt of Darwin Barney at second base right now.
One and one. Had a 1-0 lead tonight and saw an ineffective start by Pat Dean. Then the middle innings got a couple of scoreless innings from Andrew Albers, got back into the game at 6-5, and since then it's been pretty ugly.
It's just one of those games where every pitcher has allowed a run or two.
1-2 to Escobar. And up and away, 2-2. Right field corner, and that's down for a hit. Polanco around second. He'll gain third base. Escobar digging for second. And it's a double for Escobar. He's reached his last 3 times up, and that'll bring up Suzuki.
Again, Bautista not really going after that ball with any sense of urgency, and not throwing it with any sense of urgency, just trying to get it back into the infield. I think Gene Glenn was half tempted to let Polanco score on that one, but he held him up. Now we have runners at second and third with 1 out for Suzuki.
Suzuki's reached all 3 times. A walk. He was hit once. He drove in 2 runs with a double back in the 4th inning. Fly ball to right. Bautista's there. There's the out. Here comes the run. And a sacrifice fly for Suzuki. He's driven in 3 tonight. Polanco scoring, and Escobar to third. And that'll bring up Rosario. Rosario with a sacrifice fly his last time up. Reached on an error, struck out. Line foul. He hit it right out of Martin's glove. The Twins would like to see Rosario be more productive against left-handers in the final weeks of the season. Again, no problem against right-handers. He's got a very good slugging percentage against right-handers. Flare into center, just out of the reach of Tulowitzki. It'll be an RBI single for Rosario, and the Twins have a couple here in the 8th. Two runs, 3 hits against Loop, and now Brian Dozier.
Well, Loop got that one up just enough. He got in on Rosario. Rosario fought it up, but when you get to elevate the pitch just enough where the hitter can lift it, that's what happens sometimes. It's the difference between 2 inches, the ball being down a little bit. That's going to be a broken ball ground ball, broken bat ground ball. But Rosario fought it off and found a hole out there in center. Picks up an RBI.
Twins scored a dozen runs in the Tiger series. Still lost all 3 games. And now 8 runs or 7 runs tonight, and they're not even in the ball game yet. Dozier is 0 for 4. A strikeout, pop up, and 2 outfield flies. Wrapped to third, handcuffing Donaldson, and he still gets Dozier at first. Twins get 3 hits and a couple of runs in their half of the 8th.
Here, the Major League debut for Alex Wimmers at 27 years old, former Ohio State Buckeye. He was picked 21st overall back in 2010. Certainly thought he'd be in the big sooner than he is right now. There were some setbacks, there were some injuries. I spoke with him this afternoon in the dugout. He could not have been more excited. He was thrilled to get this opportunity. I asked him, what's your trademark when you get on the mound? He says, I don't back down from anyone. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to throw strikes, I'm going to attack these guys. I know they're good, but I know I've got good stuff. I'm going to trust it. Guys, he was just absolutely tickled to be here in Toronto with the Minnesota Twins. We'll see how he does here in the bottom of the 8th.
Now, Wimmers took him a long time to get here, and ended up being a closer for Rochester, even though he does not have overpowering stuff.
He's been through a lot, like Kevin Gord just said. One of the things that he had to overcome was what we call the yips. He had trouble finding the plate, and that's a tough thing to get through mentally.
Happened in his 2nd year in the Twins organization. First surfaced then back in 2011. Nice pickup by Polanco. 1 down. Wimmers, not a kid, of course. Came out of Ohio State, as Kevin mentioned. He will be a minor league free agent after this year, so this is an opportunity for Wimmers to make an impression with the Twins. Hopefully that they want to protect him, give him a shot at the big league club next year, or maybe for someone else.
Well, they're going to save that baseball. That was his first out in the big leagues. Wimmers didn't respond like he really cared that much about it, but Kurt Suzuki will let him know that someday he might.
See 92 miles per hour. There's a fastball that needs to be reasoned with as a hitter. And now 2-0.
Change up right there. So you saw the high velocity and then his off-speed pitch.
Very good high school pedigree, Moeller High School in Cincinnati. One of the more famous.
Well, you're going to tell me of who's from Moeller, right? I mean, that's why we're going there.
Yeah, well, Ken Griffey Jr. Right?
Oh, okay, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I imagine Papa Griffith didn't go there, but you never know.
He played for the Reds.
Yeah.
Fouled away, 3-2. Wimmers just wants to have a clean inning, and then after tonight, he'll be a veteran, right? You get one inning in, and then you're a veteran.
Well, his feet aren't wet anymore, that's for sure.
Called third strike.
Oh boy.
And Smoke is called out on strike.
Probably should save that one too. That's his first strikeout. And I think Suzuki's going to do that. I love it.
Well, not much positive tonight. You've got a nice moment for a young man who's persevered, so he'll have 2 baseballs sitting in his locker. Yeah, why not?
Why not? He can't help when he comes into his first game. Can't mix them up though, so we know which one's which. Save that one too. That's his first wild pitch.
He will turn 28 years old later this year. 1-0 to Ezekiel Carrera. One and one. Breaking ball, strike 2. You look at the Twins bullpen right now, and probably the residue of a very disappointing year, but there's hardly anybody there you would have thought would be there on opening day.
Well, Presley,
Albers, no, Presley and Tonkin were here at the start of the season.
It is a
Kinsler was in the organization, but at Rochester.
Right. It is a pretty clean slate. New guys, new
Chagua,
faces.
Light, Wimmers, O'Rourke, Albers,
Rogers.
2-2.
Nine guys in the pen right now for the Twins.
Got to sort out the rotation. The assumption is Santiago will be ready to go Monday against the Indians. 2-2 and a strikeout. So a good major league debut for Alex Wimmers. A ground out and a couple of strikeouts in a 1-2-3 8th inning.
Good for him.
Thank you, sir. Robbie Grossman takes outside. Ball 1. It'll be Grossman, Plouffe, and Sano in the 9th inning. Josh Thole is going to catch the 9th inning. He's the backup catcher here. At least he is tonight. For the game, here's Grossman shooting one to right field. That's a base hit, and that'll beat Bautista to the corner. And Grossman has a double to start the 9th inning.
Yeah, the Blue Jays made a move or acquired another catcher, a former catcher from the Jays here.
Deanna Navarro from the White Sox.
And Thole pretty much has been the personal caddy for R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer. So by acquiring Navarro, you kind of wonder if the end is near for Josh Thole.
We'll see how the Blue Jays sort all that out by tomorrow, or certainly by Sunday, when Dickey's supposed to start against the Twins in the series finale. Trevor Plouffe takes ball 1. And now low, 2-0. Mentioned the Blue Jays scored in 4 different innings. The Twins have scored in 5 different innings.
And got 7 runs. I mean, they've done a pretty remarkable job of trying to stay in this game offensively. Eight hits for the Twins. 9 now with Grossman's hit.
And now Plouffe with a 3-1 count. Sano will hit next. And now Plouffe takes a walk. And that'll bring up Sano. Pete Walker to the mound again. Twins in danger of losing their 49th game to the Blue Jays in their last 70 games. Pete Walker didn't want to make this trip. Manny Gonzalez really didn't want Pete Walker to make the trip, and he'll break it up. I'm guessing Aaron Loop didn't really want to see Pete Walker here in the 9th inning either, but now a double and a walk. Sano is 0 for 4, a ground ball, a fly ball, and a couple of strikeouts. Twins with a couple of issues with the lineup that could be very easily identified. Sano isn't hitting much here, and Byron Buxton is hitting in AAA. And I think by the time the Twins were getting to the end of August this year, regardless of how many wins and losses they had, I think they wanted both players hitting and being productive parts of the lineup this year. 1-1 to Sano. Popped up, chased by Smoke, and that first or second row. Nice catch by a fan down there. 1-2. We've seen Sano put the ball in play to the right side here, but not with authority. A weak ground ball and a weak fly ball.
Well, the one thing we know for sure, he's got to start making better contact and try to think up the middle. Don't pull off the balls. We talked about it the other night where his lower body was already committed before the ball was released sometimes from the pitcher, and that just shows that a hitter is not seeing the ball well, not tracking the ball well.
2-2. Fouled away. You watch Sano in batting practice, and of course he can hit home runs to left field and center field, and you see him drive the ball in batting practice, but he's had a tough time bringing right field into his hitting range in games. 2-2. Two-hopper to third. And Sano beats the relay. They get one, but not two. Grossman advances to third, one away. A day game tomorrow. Irvin Santana will go for the Twins. Marcus Stroman going for the Blue Jays. That's what's next. Brought to you by Century Link. We'll be on the air 11:30 Central with our pregame show. Another day game on Sunday, and then the Twins go to Cleveland. Kepler with a walk and a single, 4 plate appearances. Down and away, ball 1. You watch Kepler, at least it's my impression of Kepler as we've watched him play this year in his rookie season, that there is an aptitude there that he'll make mistakes and has, but he's learned from them. We, I think, have seen him develop into a much better right fielder than he was even in May and June. At the plate, you know, he may never hit 3 home runs in a game again, but he has understood that he's being pitched differently now than he was when he was having that great series in Cleveland.
Well, he certainly looks like he has a game plan, that's for sure, especially offensively. Doesn't seem to get rattled. I know that first, you remember the first week or two that he was in the big leagues, he seemed like he was a nervous kid.
And he admitted as much.
And he was. And now he seems much more relaxed, like he's seeing the ball, he's tracking the ball, he's hitting pitches he can handle. He's still going to have to learn that they're going to pitch him away a lot. He's going to have to start shooting the ball the other way, but he will. I just feel confident that he will.
Paul Molitor gave him a couple of games off in Kansas City. And he's had some better at bats since. Fly ball to left. And it'll be deep enough to score a run, I would think. And Grossman comes in, and Kepler, in a lost game, gets a sacrifice fly in the 9th inning.
Come on, Max, we're about it.
Runner at first, 2 down. And the Twins have scored now in the 9th. And I'm guessing somewhere in the post-game regurgitation about this game, Paul Molitor might point that out. You know what? We scored in 6 different innings, and really from the bottom of the 6th on, weren't even in the game.
Well, he's going to be proud of the fact that they didn't throw in the towel. They kept grinding away, and they did score a lot of runs tonight. That will lead to frustration because they have scored 8 runs on 9 hits. And when you score 8 runs, you ought to win ball games.
1-1 to Polanco. Back. I've said it so many times to friends and others who've asked over the last 6 years, but it's really true now. There's nothing wrong with this Twins team that better starting pitching wouldn't take care of. For the last 5 years coming into this year, we're losing years because of the starting pitching, and now the Twins are in a deep rut in that category again. 1-2 to Polanco. And a breaking ball locked in there. And the Twins losing streak has reached 8 games. Tom Hanneman, the Twins are off on what looked to be a tough road trip even before the 7-game losing streak affected this team, and now they lose the opener here in Toronto handily.